Again, over 35 years, I've probably done, through 7 or 8 different sort of changes, I would say. When I don't have any representation here, but you have to go on my website, you can see the whole gamut. But I started out painting very realistically. My painting was like photographs when I started.
Why did you change?
Because the creativity was all in taking the photographs. Once I got to the painting part, it was very mechanical. You're just copying what you see. And so I wanted to be more expressive.
What do you think of Warhol's can of chemical soup?
He said something very important with his work.
What is that? I just looked at a can of soup and I said, it's not worth $1. What $1 I would buy.
He's saying, basically, he's saying that we're living in a culture where
Yeah, so he said here,
the product doesn't matter.
what's showing on Monday.
We're more interested in the personality of the artist.
Starts at 6.
And we're more interested in
Then it's like, well, you're not Andrew, they said.
and he was
I guess
Not
you
even
can
much.
speak to Andrew, but that's the one who's interested.
you're giving
You
me
know,
a reaction to
Yeah, yeah. So, anyway, you have one, he has
I
one.
said, I didn't spend $1. And yet it was so popular that everybody wanted it. Yada, yada,
We'll get
yada.
started around 6:20.
We're already ahead. People are scheming.
I've never said.
I know they're jumping ahead.
That's what I
That's
knew,
fine.
and
It's okay.
I can say it was worth it to me, and I know that will buy on.
Yeah.
You buy what you like.
Yeah, his commentary was all about our culture, and not so much that he felt that was a good thing. He was just telling us where we are, and basically we're even more that way now. Think of all the people on TV that are famous just because they're on TV.
True.
They don't do anything. They don't have any talent. They've gotten famous, and so that's their career.
Well, we were on 15 minutes of fame. We were myself, and everybody gets their 15 minutes of fame and then they're forgotten. But he's not forgotten because he had his own museum now, right?
Well, he was.
And the price of his painting still goes on.
If you see what he intended to do, he was successful at it. His statement was.
He took all these people who were famous and just duplicated them.
Do you have a favorite piece of work?
In this show.
Yeah.
That little one.
The green one underneath the.
Yeah, underneath the one in the corner there.
I like the one, the big one. So what are the paste on, so the...
It's painted. It's painted.
It's just painted on.
It's
You didn't
painted.
stick something
No,
on?
it's painted to look like relief, like it's carved into the surface.
What makes that painting your favorite?
It just seems like everything came together. It's one of the early pieces I did of that style, and it just seemed like it worked. If you look at it, it's sort of a combination of
I don't have, oh, thank you. I don't have one at all.
Oh, we've been talking. Oh, they're talking about her.
I have some private patients.
What's that? I'm not from New York.
Oh, I'm retired. Oh, you're retired. Because I want to do it before I like to. Oh, yeah, me too. Yeah, it's so nice to be able to do.
We're going to get started soon. My name is Carlos Chavez. I'm an adult librarian here at the Seward Park Library, and it is my pleasure to introduce to you the artist of our current exhibit, Mr. Dan Alt. Thank you. And for the next few minutes, we will conduct a brief interview. I am excited to pick his brain about his artwork. After that, you're all welcome to join in and pick his brain and ask him questions about his artwork. And I am very happy to see that people are attending the receptions and that they're being receptive and embracing the different kinds of art that we have been exhibiting up to this point. This is our third exhibit of this year and our fourth exhibit overall. So we are very happy that it's starting to pick up and get more popular. Please continue to spread the word. This is all year long, and we're booked for the next 2 years. Great. Susan? Great. Great. So before I get started with the first question, Dan, is there something you want to tell the audience?
Yeah, thanks for letting me start. First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming. This is, and especially thank you to Carlos for this opportunity to show my work. I think this is about the fifth or sixth library, public library I've shown at here in New York. And it's just been a wonderful experience to me because the work is up on the wall for people to see, and it's a nice diverse crowd. Especially every library is different in New York, and so it's been wonderful for me. But again, thanks for the opportunity, and I really appreciate you all coming.
Excellent. All right, so here's my first question. Dan, can you please tell us about your professional background?
My professional background. How far back do you want me to go?
What I'm interested in knowing is, how did you get into art, fine arts, and what was it that tipped you into wanting to explore and develop the talent and skills for painting and other art mediums that you've worked with?
Well, I was always interested in drawing, even when I was very, very young. Continued with art in high school, but it never really clicked that this would be a career. It always seemed like it was something that was fun to do. It wasn't really until I'd gone through many different jobs that I got a chance to enroll in college. And even then, I thought maybe a commercial artist. But when I finally started painting, something clicked, and I just realized that it was something that I had to do more for myself. After I got my undergraduate degree, I worked for a few years painting billboards. One of the things I was able to actually spend my whole day painting, and so that was that also really changed my thinking about work. So I kind of got started with school late. I didn't go to graduate school until I was well into my late 20s, and so. But after that, I started teaching. I've been teaching here in New York for about 16 years now. I teach currently at St. John's University and Bronx Community College, Caldwell College in New Jersey. I teach painting, drawing, design, but a lot of art history. So I continue to do my work, exhibit my work, and so I've really become, I pay the bills by teaching and do my work on my own.
Excellent. Some of your students are here, correct?
From different places, yes.
So based on what you told me, you said you started as a hobby, right? It started as a hobby, your interest in art, and when you started painting, something clicked. Has that changed, or do you still feel like it's a hobby, but now there's also the professional aspect of it? Like you said, you must make ends meet through art. Is there a balance between a part of it just being a hobby and a part of it having to do with your profession?
I don't think of it as a hobby anymore. I mean, that's definitely changed. It's something that I try not to. I don't want to take it too seriously in terms of thinking of it as some sort of a heavy profession, but because I still want to enjoy doing it. But I don't think of it as a hobby anymore. It's become much more about who I am, identify with the work much more now.
You said you started your education in fine arts at a late stage in your life. What was it, or what events led to actually you saying, okay, this is what I am going to do? Or was it just throughout time and the accumulation of events and experiences that led you to decide that fine arts was what you wanted to pursue in your life?
I was sort of pushed into college. I had a job at a factory, and my boss asked me why I'd never been to college. And he surprised me one day. He said, you're going to take tomorrow off. You're going to go down to the community college and sign up for classes. And I said, but I've got to work. He said, you let me worry about that. So I enrolled in college, and he actually started a whole night shift so I could still work and go to school. And so the guy really just sort of pushed me to go to school. I don't think he realized I was going to take art classes. But I started school, and really from talking to my professors, it made a lot more sense that art was something that that people are able to do and still feed themselves, and so it just didn't seem so scary and impossible.
That's a great boss.
I owe him a lot.
Can you tell us about your inspirations or motivations? It could be other artists that have motivated you, inspired you.
Believe it or not, when I think back to when I was in high school, I knew that Van Gogh cut his ear off, and I knew that Picasso painted women with the eyes on the wrong side of their faces. That was about as much as I knew about modern art. I really, when I started painting, I was sort of at the tail end of photorealism when I first started painting in college, and so my early art was very realistic. I was working from photographs. But I became interested in reading books by Joseph Campbell. He was a comparative mythologist, and he talked about different religions. He felt that it was important, instead of trying to be exclusive with religions, we should try to understand what they had in common and how they go together. And what was fascinating for me was he was a very good storyteller. And so from reading the books, it introduced me to not just the mythology of the Greeks and the Romans, but Asian mythology and the mythology of the Mayans, the Aztecs, and the stories were just fascinating. And so I started using the stories as inspiration for my paintings, mostly sort of as a starting point. It gave me something that as I'm reading the myth, pictures start to come up in your mind, and so it gives you a starting point. They weren't always necessarily illustrations of the story, but that's where they come from.
Can you give us an example of one of the stories from Joseph Campbell that has influenced one of your paintings on display?
The second one up here on the right-hand side is called The Big Flies Advice. It's from Campbell wrote about a story. I think it was a Navajo story about two twins who were born. One of them was they were both from the same mother, but one of them, their father was the sun, and the other one, their father was the moon. And there was some sort of a monster that was terrorizing their village, and so they decided they're going to go out and find the sun and get help. And so as they're on this journey, they're trying to find where the sun lives. Different animals keep encountering them. They keep getting help in unexpected places. And at one time, they're lost in the desert, and a big fly landed on one of their shoulders, and basically told them where they had to go. Guided them to the house of their father that they were looking at. So again, that's sort of the beginning, you've got the two boys walking. As you can see, they have a key in between them. They're sort of joining hands with the key. And at the very top, there's a little circle that I painted on there that is supposed to be both the sun and the moon, sort of combined.
So your answer sort of leads to my next question, and this is based on the artist statement. In it, you say that you believe that the important questions in life are never truly answered, but the search for the answers is what creates our life. Like the Dada artists that were interested in finding new ways to create and think about the world. Our process relates to the idea of synthesizing. We're trying to bring together ideas and techniques that seem to be incompatible. For those of us that are not familiar with the Dada artist movement, which started in Switzerland and has influenced your work, can you share your knowledge about that with us?
Yeah, Dada was a very revolutionary period where their first premise was just to throw everything out. They wanted to start over. And so if you're familiar with somebody like Marcel Duchamp, one of his first statements was to draw a mustache and goatee on the Mona Lisa. Just to decide they're attacking the traditions of Western civilization. But through trying to come up with new ways of thinking about art, they also did a lot of experimentation with ways of creating art. And one of the things that always struck me when I first started reading about Dada, they had these games that they would play together, where they would one would draw a shape, and then they would pass the paper to the next one, and that person had to turn that shape into something, had to turn it into a bird or a person. We used to play that exact game when I was a kid. I used to play with my sisters, my cousins, and so that made a lot of sense to me. You know, they're using their imagination. But in terms of this, out of putting together things that don't normally belong together, that's where the new ideas come from. Eventually, they become the norm. But in college, I was really kind of struck. I was just talking about this with somebody. I started out painting from photographs. I really enjoyed the finished product. You had a painting that looked very real, and you got a lot of compliments and so forth. But the creativity was all in taking the photograph. That's where you really created the composition and worried about your colors. Making the painting was extremely mechanical. You're just copying what you see.